Dobrodošli svi na BTŠ podcast. Sa vama je Riste,
a sa vama je i Raša.
Verovali ili ne, godina dana kako imamo podcast, Rašo?
Nije valjda prošlo već?
Prošlo je.
Godina dana.
Godina dana milosti. Milosti za nas, a milosti za vas, dragi slušalci, da nas
I hvala vam na vašoj vernosti što ste spremni da slušate i verujem da uživate u ovim podcastima.
Da, kratki su, ali dobri su.
Ali slatki su.
Slatki, tako je.
Sad ako kažeš da je prošlo godinu dana, mislim da je, na ovoj godini dana dobro razmišljati o samom Bogu ili o atributima našeg Boga. Dok govoriš o ovome, sjetio sam se poznatog Charles Spurgeona koji je rekao nešto slično ovome. Ako ste umorni, opterećeni, ako vas razne brige more u životu, ja vas pozivam da zajedno sa mnom uronite u duboko poznavanje neistraživog Boga.
Tako je.
I ako zaronite sa mnom, izađet ćete sveži, odmorni i okrepljeni. I mislim da je to ono o čemu ćemo pričati danas. Pričat ćemo o Bogu, o atributima našeg Boga i zaista se radujemo što sa nama može biti naš dragi profesor i može nam poslužiti u tome.
Da, sa nama je naš profesor po prvi put u Srbiji, prvi put predaje, što je logično, Grek Masej. Dobrodošao, Grek. Dobrodošao. Da, nama je isto drago. Studenti su baš ohrabreni jednostavnošću, a duboku poučavanje.
Imao sam priliku da budem na jednom delu časova, tako da zaista sam uživao. Pa kad već razmišljamo o tome, Grek, šta bi nam rekao, šta su to atributi Božji?
What the attributes of God are, we're talking about his characteristics. If we open up our Bibles and ask the question, what is God like? Whatever comes to the surface as an answer to that question are the attributes of God. What is he like? What are his characteristics? That is what we're talking about. And generally, when we are in a class on theology, talking about his attributes, we generally divide them into two ways. One, we would call the incommunicable attributes, and two, we would refer to the communicable attributes. And the incommunicable attributes of God are his characteristics that are unique to him only. For example, only God is omnipresent. Only God is present everywhere. That would be an example of the incommunicable attributes of God. But the communicable attributes of God are attributes that he possesses that he also expects his people to possess. For example, God is patient. Well, we are created in his image, we are his children, and so we too are expected to be patient. God is holy. We know that from Isaiah 6 and Isaiah's glorious vision of being in the presence of God, and the train of his glory filled the temple, and Isaiah uttered that he is holy, holy, holy. And certainly God, in his very being, contains ultimate holiness. However, he still expects his children to imitate him in holiness. And so in the New Testament, Peter commands us, be holy, for God is holy. So, once again, very simple. The attributes of God are when we ask the question, what is he like? And then we open up our Bibles.
BTŠ je škola, teološka škola. I reč teologija često puta ljudi negativno razumevaju. Teologija je nauka o Bogu, proučavanje Boga.
Tako je.
I mi kroz svaki predmet učimo o Bogu, ali ovaj posebno specifičan predmet atributi Božji atribute. I zašto je posebno ovaj predmet o tome da se proučava? Zašto mora se izdvojiti poseban predmet u tome?
Yes, it's very important to study the attributes of God. One way we can think of that is to think of some of the things that I think the Protestant Reformation helps us with. Because of the Reformation, I believe that the church historically is better today at its emphasis in having a relationship with God. With Martin Luther being so insistent on salvation by faith alone and having a personal trust in God, we are the benefactors today of stressing to other people that the Christian faith is about having a relationship with God. And we should be very thankful that we live with that kind of health in the church today, because throughout church history, God has been someone only to be feared. And the issue of a relationship was something that was either downplayed or never talked about at all. But today, we should be thankful that we live in a time of church history that we can confidently say we've got this part right. Christianity is about being restored to our Creator, forgiven of our sins, and actually having a relationship with God. But that brings up an important reason that it is it's essential to study the attributes of God. And there's a book by theologian J.I. Packer that my students here at the school have as required reading, and thankfully it is in dozens of languages. It's in Serbian, it's in Spanish, it's in many languages. Packer's book, Knowing God. It's a fantastic book. And Packer makes a statement that I think might take some people off guard. It might catch them by surprise. He says that knowing about God is a necessary precondition for knowing God.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about that statement carefully, Packer is not saying that knowing about God is the same as knowing God. Because we can go through the Bible and we can study lots of theological writings, and we could write our own books on the attributes of God and still have a heart that's far from Him. So Packer is not saying that knowing about God is the same as knowing God, nor is he saying knowing everything about God is a necessary precondition to knowing God. It would be impossible to know everything about God. But Packer does give us an eye-opening statement when he simply says, knowing about God is a necessary precondition for knowing God. And the reason that that is the case is because if we knew nothing about God at all, we would have a flawed view of the gospel and our need for forgiveness. For example, whether we use the word holiness or not, if we had no idea that God will call us to account for our sin and that He is perfect and righteous, if that is not a part of our understanding of who He is, we could not understand the gospel. And so it's very important to know about God in that sense.
Verujem da se već polako osvežavamo duhovno samo slušajući ovo.
Pa znaš šta, ja bi možda rekao malo da produbljimo Spurgeona.
Tako je.
Nije dovoljno dubok u tome što je rekao da ne samo kad smo umorni, nego kad smo i odmorni. Znači, poznavanje Boga i istraživati to bogatstvo, njegove atribute, karaktera je svakodnevno.
Sjećam se kad smo prošli put pitali Matthewa da izdvoji možda jedan...
Da ću to reći.
Da izdvoji jedan atribut, sjećaš se? Da izdvoji jedan atribut, on je rekao ne možemo izdvojiti ni jedan i bio je skroz u pravu.
Tako je.
Sad možda da postavimo pitanje Gregu malo drugačije. Ako bi morali da izdvojimo i jedan atribut, koji bi to bio atribut o kojem se najčešće ne govori?
Ja mislim da će biti
Da.
upravo.
Najčešće ne govori ili se najređe govori.
Tako je.
One of the things that I get our students in the class to imagine concerning this point of the importance of knowing God is I ask them to imagine a young man in high school who is infatuated with a young girl that he sees. And he is head over heels in love with this girl. And this young girl hears through some of her friends that he likes her. And so she builds up enough courage to finally come to him and ask him about his supposed love for her, since he's not building up the courage for himself to talk to her. She talks to him, and he responds by saying, "Oh, I love you because you're into computer games and I'm into computer games. And I just can't wait for us to spend more time together. And I love you because you're into soccer and I'm into soccer, European football. We would love that together. And I love you because you're beautiful, your blue eyes and your blonde hair." And this girl gets a very concerned look on her face, and she says, "Actually, I can't stand computer games. And actually, I hate watching soccer. I can't stand football of any kind. I don't like any kind of sports. And for your information, sir, I have brown eyes and brown hair, not blonde hair." And when I tell that little story to students in the class, I then simply make the point that that young man is living in a fantasy world. He's put these ideas about a girl, these characteristics in his own mind that are not even reality. And there are many people in the church that live in a fantasy world because they are creating a God to worship out of their own desires. They're giving him their own attributes and characteristics. Many people in the church are basically saying, I love the Lord. I'm a very religious person. And when you begin to talk to them longer and deeper, you find out that the God they're talking about is a God that is only mercy, and he's never judgment. Or, in perhaps a very frightened way, some people can think of a God who is only wrath, but he's never love. And whichever of those extremes, in whatever way we are painting God in an image that is not reality, we will have a faulty view of God. I think also one of the many attributes that we could talk about that is not talked about often, we usually think of his mercy, his holiness, his wrath, his omnipotence, both incommunicable and communicable attributes. There's another characteristic that I enjoy talking about in the classroom because it's an attribute that the Puritans spent a lot of time with, but we don't hear about it much anymore today. And that is, they would say that God is plain, or God is simple. And maybe a better word for that, at least in English, I like to say that God is whole. He is a simple being. And what the Puritans mean by saying that God is simple, they're not trying to say he's simplistic, because certainly he's not. He's very complex. But what they mean by that is that God is not made up of many, many, many parts that are in some way separate from each other. And so think with me, for example, if you were in an art museum and you see a beautiful painting on the other side of the gallery, and from about 20 feet away, you can't believe the detail and the colors of this painting. And you you walk up closer and closer to it, and the closer you get to the painting, the more you realize this is not a whole single canvas at all. It's actually made up of tiny little colored tiles. You can't tell that from 20 feet away, but the closer you get, the more you realize it's made up of hundreds and hundreds of tiles. Now, if you were to reach up and take one of those tiles away from the painting and back up and look at the painting again from 20 feet away, you're probably not going to tell much of a difference. It doesn't look like it has changed at all. Or if you were to add a colored tile to it and then step back and look at it, you probably couldn't tell a difference at all concerning the painting. But if we think about God as being whole, it means that he's not like a painting made up of hundreds of tiles. We can't go up to God as if he's a painting, and that's probably not the greatest analogy, but we cannot take a tile out of the painting without the painting crashing down and all the tiles falling to the ground. Meaning, if we were to remove one attribute from God, he would cease to be God. And in the same way, we cannot add a tile to the painting without it all falling onto the floor. So many times people add something to God. They think that if we just also called him this, but we need to realize that when we say that God is simple or whole, it's really something that is downstream from what Malachi says. I, the Lord, do not change. Meaning, if he was holy in Isaiah chapter 6, he's holy today. I, the Lord, do not change. Meaning, if we take any of his attributes away, he ceases to be the God of the Bible. And one of the reasons it's so important to have these attributes regularly being meditated on and regularly studying is because if we as Christians aren't studying the attributes of God and seeing what he is truly like instead of what we want him to be like, at the very least, our worship cannot be worship in truth. But at the very worst, our worship might even be idolatry.
Mi imamo knjigu koja je prevedena u poznatog teologa Sproula. Kaže se, svako je teolog. Tako da malo izgleda čudan naslov.
Ali je istinit.
Istinit.
Kako god mišljenje da imamo u Bogu, mi već jesmo teolozi. Greg, hvala ti puno. Hvala ti puno na razmišljanju o ovome. Ne samo da smo otišli duboko, nego se nas i malo i otreznilo, zar ne? Ne želimo da budemo idoli, ne želimo da se klanjamo lažnom Bogu, tako što ćemo stvoriti našu verziju Boga.
Biblijskog.
Tako je. Čitajmo pismo, slušajmo dobre propovedi i dođemo na BTŠ.
I čitamo dobre knjige.
Tako je.
Pročitajte, svako je teolog.
I profesor je spomenuo knjigu Upoznaj od J. Packera koju imamo na srpskom, fantastična knjiga.
Da.
Tako da vas ohrabrujemo
da pročitate. Da. Pozdrav.
Pozdrav svima.
Svima.